Breaking news! Something's happening behind the scenes. Subtle, silent, seemingly small movements, but when placed side by side, they begin to form a pattern. A pattern that doesn't point to a simple roster reshuffling, but to something much bigger. We're not talking about random rumors or unfounded hearsay. We're facing a sequence of decisions that indicate a strategic offensive, thought out down to the smallest detail, like someone preparing the board for checkmate. So without drafting, come with me and I'll tell you everything, but first, click the like button and if possible, write Go Vikings. A trade just went down that might look routine on the surface, but if you dig even a little deeper, it could be a clue, a breadcrumb, leading us to something far more explosive brewing inside the Minnesota Vikings front office. Quarterback Mekhi Blackman is out, traded, shipped to the Indianapolis Colts for a 6th-round pick in the 2026 draft. And sure, that pick may seem insignificant at first glance, but with this move, the Vikings now hold a whopping 11 draft picks for 2026. That's no coincidence. That's a strategy unfolding in real time, and it might just be the calm before a storm in Minnesota. Let's get into the why behind the trade. Blackman, once pegged as a future CB3, looked like he could break out in his sophomore season. That was before a torn ACL derailed his momentum and exposed cracks in his performance. The truth is, Blackman just didn't look the same. Training camp was rough. Preseason? Worse. And as the cornerback depth chart took shape, it became clear that he was getting left behind. UDFAs like Najee Thompson and Dwight McLaughlin were outplaying him. Jeff Okudah, despite his NFL struggles, started gaining traction in the room. Isaiah Rodgers came in with solid tape from Philly, and of course, Byron Murphy continued holding it down at the top. Blackman's odds? Shrinking by the day. So, why does this trade matter beyond just a roster move? Because of what it signals. The Vikings are stacking picks and sitting on $32 million in cap space. That's not a coincidence. That's preparation. Strategic positioning. It tells us they're not done. It tells us GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has his eyes on something bigger, and it might be coming sooner than you think. Think about it. You don't offload veterans like Harrison Phillips and Blackman just to tinker. You do it when you're trying to clear space, both financially and on the roster. And you don't do that unless you're planning to make a splash. A loud one. Rumors are already swirling: Adam Thielen, Jakobi Meyers, Alec Pierce, even Tyreek Hill. The front office is lighting up phone lines, and reports confirm it. The Vikings are actively engaged in trade talks for a veteran wide receiver. Let's talk wide receivers for a minute. The Vikings are in a bind there. Jordan Addison is banged up. Brandon Powell's out for the year. Jalen Naylor has a hand injury. Rondale Moore? Done. That leaves names like Lucky Jackson and Tim Jones to fill in behind Justin Jefferson. And that's just not going to cut it. The coaching staff knows it. The front office knows it. The fans? You better believe they know it. So what are the options? Adam Thielen is an emotional favorite. He's got the leadership, the chemistry with Kirk, and the hometown ties. But the Panthers aren't eager to let him go. They love what he brings to their locker room and his connection with Bryce Young. Still, what if the Vikings toss them a 5th and 6th rounder? Would that move the needle? It just might. And that newly acquired pick from the Colts? That's the kind of sweetener that makes a deal like this viable. Jakobi Meyers is another name heating up. The Raiders added Amari Cooper, which could make Meyers expendable if the price is right. Imagine a WR trio of Jefferson, Addison, and Meyers. That's not just dangerous, that's elite. And with the uncertainty around who starts at WR2 in Week 1 against Chicago, adding a plug-and-play veteran like Meyers could turn a major question mark into a strength overnight. Alec Pierce? Criminally underrated. We've talked about it over and over, and his name keeps popping up in connection to the Vikings. If Kwesi is serious about depth and about surrounding Jefferson with real weapons, Pierce fits the bill. The price wouldn't break the bank, and the upside is huge. And then there's Tyreek Hill. Now, this is speculative, but imagine pairing the most electric playmaker in the NFL with the best wide receiver in football in Justin Jefferson. Add Jordan Addison to the mix, and suddenly you're looking at a trio that could redefine the wide receiver position. Is it likely? Maybe not. But don't think for a second that the Vikings haven't at least explored the possibility. As the front office continues to make these under-the-radar moves, like dealing Blackman for a future pick, it's not about what they're giving up, it's about what they're preparing to receive. Something bigger is on the horizon. Something that could change the trajectory of this season. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think is coming next? Are the Vikings stacking picks for a blockbuster trade? Who would you want to see lining up next to Justin Jefferson in Week 1? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's not ignore what else this trade opens up, not just a roster spot, but the ripple effects. Trading Mekhi Blackman not only clears cap room and adds draft capital, it shakes up the cornerback room to its core. Right now, the Vikings have Byron Murphy, Isaiah Rodgers, Jeff Okudah, and 2 UDFAs, Najee Thompson and Dwight McGlothern. That's it. That's your corner depth. You're banking on Rodgers scaling his Eagles production to a full-time role, hoping Okudah finally lives up to his draft pedigree, and asking UDFAs to play meaningful snaps if injuries hit. That's thin. That's risky. That's not championship football. So while the spotlight is focused on wide receivers, don't be shocked if a cornerback addition comes first. Greg Newsome's name is already in the mix, and it fits like a glove. Scheme versatility. Inside-outside flexibility. High football IQ. Everything Brian Flores wants in his system, Newsome offers. He's not just a name, he's a potential difference maker, and the Browns may be willing to listen if the offer's right. And that's where things get really interesting. The Vikings aren't just clearing cap for one big move. They could be setting up for two. A veteran corner to stabilize the secondary, and a legit WR2 to solidify the offense. That's not a rebuild. That's not tinkering. That's a team trying to win right now. Think back on all the moves this offseason. You don't sign veterans like Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen on the D-line unless you think your window is open. You don't retool the O-line with Dalton Reisner, Garrett Bradbury, and Brian O'Neill unless you believe in your quarterback. And you certainly don't stockpile picks and cap space if you plan to stand pat. Every signal coming from this front office screams aggression. And that's why this Blackman trade isn't just a footnote. It's a warning shot. The Vikings aren't satisfied with competitive. They're aiming higher. And with the NFC wide open, no clear dominant force standing in their way, they have every reason to push their chips in now. So here's the question, what's next? Is Adam Thielen coming back home? Will Kwesi pull the trigger on a move for Alec Pierce or Jacoby Myers? Could Greg Newsome be in purple before Week 1? Or is there a surprise no one sees coming, someone not even on our radar? All we know for sure is this, the Vikings aren't done. They're moving in silence, making calls, playing chess while the rest of the league is still setting the board. Something big is coming. It's just a matter of when. And when it does, we'll be right here to break it down for you. Now, if you enjoyed this video and want to stay ahead of every move the Vikings make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breaking story. And drop a comment, who do you want the Vikings to trade for next? Let's talk about it down below. Until next time, SKOL.